Good evening and welcome to KJMT 12 O'Clock News. I'm Kevin Kelly.
And I'm Tricia Lammers.
Tonight's top story debates whether or not government involvement in higher education is the best solution for this country. The government provides subsidies in order to make college more affordable. These subsidies mainly fund student aid programs, but also provide grants for educational institutions. According to the United States Department of Education, the Pell Grant program provides grants up to $5,550 to students based on their financial needs, school tuition costs, and status as a full-time or part-time student. This program provides 8.9 million students with grants valued at $36.5 billion a year.
Supporters of government subsidies say that higher education is a public good that would be underprovided in a free market. This is important because the social marginal benefit of an educated workforce is greater than the private marginal benefit to the individual. The Pell Grant program, along with other need-based financial aid programs, is vital in the effort to increase college enrollment and graduation among lower-income students. Studies show that the amount of financial assistance these students are given is directly related to the probability of them graduating. Students with a lower family income are much less likely to complete college, greatly due to their inability to cover the tuition costs. As these government subsidies increase, however, so does the number of students enrolled in college. Our own Julia Klemensic has more. Julia?
Thanks, Tricia. The government's involvement in higher education is intended to make college more accessible to a wider variety of the population who otherwise would not be able to afford it. I'm here with Victoria. Victoria, are you currently receiving financial aid?
Yes, I am.
Would you be able to attend college without the grant you are receiving, or did your financial aid package affect the school you decided to attend?
It definitely affected the school I decided to attend. I probably would not be here without some kind of financial aid.
Do you believe that the government should offer grants to encourage lower-income students to attend college?
Definitely.
Do you believe that financial aid makes college more affordable and accessible?
Yes.
And last, how do you feel about the rising tuition costs?
It's not something I guess I'm happy about, but depending on what it's paying for, maybe it's necessary. I don't know too much about it.
Thanks so much for your time, Victoria. Now back to you, Tricia.
Thank you, Julia, for those insightful interviews. It's great to hear the opinion of current college students who are directly impacted by this government policy. While many people support government subsidies as they are currently given out, there's a growing number of people who believe the government support is actually contributing to the rising tuition costs.
As I learned from SOCI, a consortium of 21 Southwest Ohio colleges and universities.
About an 85% increase in tuition over the last 10 years at public institutions, at the flagship institutions across Ohio.
Like Ohio University. And an economics professor there, Richard Vetter, places a lot of the blame on federal loans and grants.
They use this money to engage in an academic arms race that involves paying professors more, hiring more administrators, building fancy university facilities, and the like, and not paying too much attention to keeping costs under control because they know they have the safety net of all that federal money.
And now we're going to hear from Dr. Matt Knutson, a professor of economics at the University of Dayton, who recently published an article proposing an alternative policy to government spending on higher education. Dr. Knutson will now elaborate more on how his policy of more efficiently allocating government resources towards higher education can better solve the inequality problem.
Thank you, Kevin. As you mentioned, my proposed policy would make government spending on higher education more efficient by limiting the amount of money that governments can give out in the form of grants and subsidies. The price of schools increase because there is either a rise in demand or supply falling at any given price, or a combination of both. However, schools don't always price at equilibrium. They price so that quantity demanded exceeds quantity supplied, which allows them to be more selective. Over time, prices have been rising, and these are impacted partially by government interferences in the market by subsidizing demand. They offer generous student loans to help encourage people to attend school, and because of this, demand shifts out. When government subsidizes something this heavily, producers respond in turn by raising prices to help absorb these subsidies. The problem with these generous loans is that since 1999, student loan debt has increased by 511%, while disposable income has only increased by 73%. The average student in 2009 graduated $24,000 in loans. Tuition rates have been rising very fast recently. For example, the University of Minnesota's tuition costs and fees have more than doubled in a decade, according to the Wall Street Journal. The Center for College Affordability and Productivity says the more government aid goes up, the more tuition rises. We believe that by putting limits on grants and loan subsidies, we would be able to cap spiraling tuition prices. Also, we want to set limits on where funding from these loans is spent so that institutions cannot abuse the loans to pay for expensive administrative functions over educational tools. By limiting the amount of subsidized support schools receive, they will be forced to allocate resources more efficiently while not raising tuition, because this would result in fewer students who would be able to financially afford to attend that school.
Thank you, Dr. Knutson, for that interesting proposal. We greatly appreciate your insight.
And thank you for watching a KJMT News exclusive on government policy in higher education. Coming up next, 60 Minutes discovers the true cause of global warming, gas emissions from cows. You stay classy, Econ 445.
Get up, boys!